Hello friends, welcome to Spring Boot JPA tutorial series. In this video, we will see what is Spring Boot JPA, Java Consistency API. So point number one, Spring Boot JPA is a module of Spring Boot that simplifies working with relational databases in Java applications. So guys, what is the meaning of this line? JPA, Java Persistency API. So we will develop a Spring Boot application, and that application we will develop to communicate with the database. So particularly in our context, we will use MySQL as a database. That means boot application will communicate with a database application. Suppose I have a boot application that suppose this is my boot application I will develop in STS environment, Spring Toolsuite environment, and this is my SQL database. Okay, so this is my boot application, Spring Boot application, and this is my Spring Boot application, and this is my database. Let my database we will consider that is my SQL. Okay, so I will open my SQL. Okay, so root is my default account. Password I will give. Okay, so this is my database environment. Now, whatever the boot application I will develop, so that boot application will communicate with a database application. So database means relational database. Relational database. So in MySQL environment, we will create a database. Create a database. Let's create database name. Whatever the database name I will give. Suppose I will give suppose EMP underscore CRUD underscore DB. Okay, so one example I will consider that is nothing but our CRUD operation. Okay, create, read, update, delete. So I will show you the CRUD operation how it is, how we are developing. Okay, so that is representing what boot JPA. So I will give the clarity Spring Boot JPA by using CRUD operation. Okay, by showing CRUD example. Suppose I will create a database in my SQL environment, create database name. Now I will hit run and I will do the refresh button, and here so a database created. So inside the database we will create a relational table. That relational table we will create by executing Spring Boot application. This Spring Boot application we will develop in STS environment, Spring Toolsuite environment. So we will develop a Spring Boot application, and when that boot application I will run, I will execute. So we will get relational database management of database. We can insert, we can update, we can delete, we can retrieve. So that's why I told not create, read, update, delete. So by executing a boot application, we are managing a relational database. Okay, so this is Spring Boot JPA. So it is part of the Spring Data project and provides seamless integration with JPA, a standard Java API for object relational mapping. So here a new terminology came, object relational mapping. In Java context, so everything is nothing but a class. Suppose if I will take a class, let class employee some data member if I have int id string name double salary. So if this is my class property, okay, so we will see basically in both context, this is called as entity, one entity component that we have to develop. So how this class will map with a relational table. So in this context, a table will create name of the table is employee and here ID, name and salary three attributes. So here three column will create ID, name and salary. Okay. So this entity and this table, so a map is establishing. A relationship is establishing in between. So a table and a Java object. So the class employee having ID, name, and salary. Suppose three attributes. So when the employee object I will what represent that is called as Java object. Object representing class property and this is a relational table. So a relational table and an object. So a map is establishing. So that is called as object relational mapping. Practically we will see. Okay. So we will develop an entity component. Then how a table is creating in our database. So everything that we will see practically. Okay. So I hope everybody is understanding. So this is a Spring Boot JPA. So it is a specification. So it is a module of Spring Boot specifically used to communicate with the relational database. We will see. So basically, what Hibernate is an ORM tool, object relational mapping tool. So Hibernate configuration we can do in Spring Boot, but nowadays, so Hibernate configuration Spring Boot is supporting automatically without explicitly what if we will not represent. So also it is working. We will see practically also. And if we want, so there is a file application.properties file. So Hibernate related configuration that we can put. I will come to that point. Okay. So this is all about Spring Boot JPA. Then what are the key features of Spring Boot JPA? So simplified configuration we will check. So automatically configures JPA when a supported database is detected. So in application.properties, when I will create a Spring Boot property, Spring Boot project, so there is a file. So under src main resources folder. So in application.properties file. So this is a such file which is containing what? Database related configuration we will practically we will see and database related configuration we will represent in application.properties file or application.yml file. We can develop application.yml file, but we are what using or we are creating application.properties file. So second feature integration with Hibernate. So currently I was telling so Hibernate configuration we can represent also in application.properties file. So integration with Hibernate repository. So when we will develop what entity component, after that we will create a repository component. So JPA repository, so when we will create, at that time I will explain in detail. So repository components, JPA repository containing some built-in methods, some properties. That method we will use to perform the CRUD operation. Query support, query support. Yes, allowing to define custom or native SQL queries, okay, by using @query annotation. That also we will see in Spring Boot applications. So we will see. So how I will what represent, okay, a query by using @query annotation. So that what Boot JPA is supporting also this point. Similarly, transaction management, pagination and sorting, entity relationship, auditing. So everything. So we will what see practically by taking an example. So what we will do, first of all, we will create a Spring Boot project, and through that project we will see, we will get the clarity what about the CRUD operation. So as a result, we can understand about the concept of Spring Boot JPA in detail. So in my next video, we will start to develop a Spring Boot JPA project.